full house, but then that's expected when we have our guest speaker, Mr. Ahmed Javed, our commissioner, who keeps us safe and secure. A few words about our trust, V Citizen Action Network. This trust, where few of us trustees are here, we look to citizens' participation in partnership with the authorities to have an interface in many ways for our daily lives and the problems that we may face. Instead of in confrontation, we work in partnership, in the spirit of partnership. Because ultimately, we all have to get the authorities who are supposed to be doing what to look after us, to ensure that our city is safe. We need to cooperate. We need to do our bit. So our roles, responsibilities, knowing how to deal with problems, etc. This is basically what the trust does. Now, keeping up with technology, we realized that when we have just a normal gathering, we are able to reach very few. And also our social duty of decongesting Mumbai prompted us to take on TogetherVCAN Social Sanchar. Last year, we launched our interactive web portal called TogetherVCAN.in. And TogetherVCAN Social Sanchar came into existence few months down the line. Now, you are all in-house, and at 4 o'clock, I understand that people would have logged in to participate online. Many of the questions or issues that will come up may not be just restricted only to Mumbai. Because I remember the last time when we had our social Sanchar, I received calls from Delhi, from Calcutta, asking about the same issues are there in other cities as well. So we take this opportunity in Mumbai to have our Commissioner of Police interact with all of us, many of us here, and those who are online, and see what best we can take forward. Now, the format of the program would be that we first give preference to the online audience because they are not present here. So we would request our in-house audience to have a little patience. We will take in questions in between. And then we will proceed. We keep strictly to time. There will be many questions that you may have and which we may not be able to take up immediately. But rest assured, all questions, in-house as well as online, will go to the office of our commissioner, and I'm sure he will devote enough time to give us the answers. Having said that, I will request before I request my colleague, Mr. Ranganathan, to introduce our guest speaker, I would like to make special mention of our venue. The Royal Bombay Yacht Club stands as an icon in the city of Mumbai next to our gateway, is our venue partner and is the host for this social Sanchar. They believe, as a club, believes that apart from being a club for entertainment, there is all of us as citizens of Mumbai need to be more involved. So the club has come forward and partnered with us. Our support partner, which is Irabad Group, their CEO and director, as well as their second-in-command, is present with us, as well as many of the students, because apart from being a business house, they have what is called an institute where they have various activities happening. But most of all, I have a very special partner over here, who's our founding partner, Eureka Forbes Limited. And thank you, Mr. Goklani, for joining us this afternoon. In every respect, the portal came into being because of our founding partner. We worked together, and we still are together. We don't believe in divorce, so I think this marriage will last a long, long time. And apart from that, our trust is equally partnered with all the authorities, and with the police we have a special connect, thanks to our children and the school bus, which we did with the traffic department of the police. So with so many partners, there are lots of strong bonds, and I'm sure all Mumbaikars will benefit from this afternoon. Mr. Ranganathan, would you please introduce our guest speaker? Thank you.
It is indeed a It is indeed a matter of pleasure and pride to introduce Mr. Ahmed Javed, because I learned just now that he is also a Stephanian like me from St. Stephen's College, Delhi, and an outstanding police officer who inspires confidence in the citizens all over the state of Maharashtra. He joined the Indian Police Service in the year 1980 and has occupied a galaxy of major posts: Superintendent of Police in districts, Commissioner of Police, Solapur, and now September onwards he is the Police Commissioner for the city of Mumbai. And it is indeed, he is an officer who has been highly decorated. He has won the President's Medal, Police Medal, and he is fortunate that city of Mumbai has Mr. Ahmed Javed as our Police Commissioner. And while introducing him, I take this opportunity to ask him a couple of questions as a common citizen. I find that when we go to the police station to lodge a complaint, some crime has been committed, it is extremely difficult to get FIR. Firstly, they say, we are very busy, we have no time. Second thing, that particular officer is away on some bandobast duty or some other duty, or he is on leave. He comes in the evening shift. Come tomorrow. So we find that, and after a lot of effort, we find that to get an FIR for a crime incident, then sometimes they also give we can't do it like this, we have to investigate and then only we will lodge an FIR. So what can be done for a common citizen? When a crime is committed, he reports to the police station, he can get the FIR copy which he is entitled to. Then second question is, I wanted to ask about the traffic police. Now in Mumbai we find the city is the reputation of having the best traffic police in the country. And you find on many of the arterial roads, etc., they perform a tremendous job with extremely heavy traffic, a lot of indisciplined driving. They are able to manage and control the city with a great amount of patience and, I would say, dexterity. However, what we find is, considering the number of policemen and the amount of the length of road space, you can't expect them to be on every street. On major roads they are there. But in other roads, you find where traffic police never comes, all kinds of violations keep taking place all the time. So can they have a system whereby the traffic police can, once in a fortnight, once in a month, go to various places at random, find out what offences are taken, so that people get this message that the traffic rules have to be followed in other roads also, not only in the arterial roads. With these words, I think I will request Mr. Ahmed Javed whether he would like to make some introductory remarks, then the questions can flow. Thank you.
As much. Before Mr. Ahmed starts, talking about technology, very quietly, this new technology which we are privy to today, we had started it in November. Quietly, my other partner, we have two hands. So I spoke about my right hand, but the left hand, which is stronger, is standing in the corner. The April Broadcast Limited, which brought about this technology to make Mr. Javed to sit here.
Both will do.
And both will do. So, Mr. Ahmed Javed, to be visible, interact anywhere in the world, not just in India. Since we have question, I believe, from London. And that's Mr. Ori and Mrs. Ori, who's also a Rotarian and has been our partner in certain other projects as well. So the technology now starts. Mr. Ahmed, the floor is all yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the organizers for having given me this opportunity, because policing per se and policing in a huge metropolitan area like Mumbai, and given the existing laws and procedures that we have, is far more complex and therefore has far more many challenges than a lot of educated otherwise doing very well in their fields. A lot of Indians, I think, would benefit, I feel. Although this is not the time or the place for giving lessons or classes in law or procedures, but working knowledge will make it easy for you as the common citizen to appreciate as to what all goes into the whole process of policing. I'll try and touch upon it as the afternoon progresses. I'm sure there are a lot of the questions which keep coming back to us, which I have been hearing for the last 3.5 decades only, and many have not been, I think, either understood or answered for very many reasons, and I'm not here trying to sort of be on the defensive and just take a position to defend the department. We have our issues like any other government department would have, I guess. The other thing I think we need to also be very clear, which I think many people in the cities, especially in big cities, over the last many years, somehow we tend to be very, very conversant and fairly active about our rights as citizens. Somewhere down the line, we seem to have sort of forgotten our duties, which therefore brings in a discrepancy and a dichotomy, which is far, far difficult to sort of balance out when some incident or something happens. So very easy, and I think we are a very physical, very visible arm of the state. So therefore, it's very easy to sort of let loose anything that comes your way by oral or otherwise onto the police, which I think is part of the territory and part of the job. But sometimes it goes far beyond, and we are many a times not in a position, or let's say positionally we are not in a place where we can sort of defend ourselves or give the whole picture in toto for very many reasons. Some things of sometimes confidentiality, or sometimes because it is not practical. So here I would like to try and share as much, and I hope through you, at least if the citizen is aware, if the citizenry is aware, it will make our job that much more, I think, easier. And I have always been a believer that wherever there is a citizen who's aware of his duties and rights both, and is active in being a good citizen, that city, that state, that country would have a far healthier security and therefore law and order situation than it is in many places. So it's a cooperation between us and the public. Whenever we talk about Mumbai, and I'm sure almost everybody is unanimous, will be unanimous about it here, at least in the audience who are Mumbaikars, that all said and done, at the end of the day, we are still a very safe city, which is to say, I wouldn't like to take the entire credit that is only the police department which makes us this city so safe. It's definitely the role of the Mumbaikar, the citizen, which goes on to partner with us in very many ways to make it a city as safe it is. Which is not to say no incidents take place, which is not to say no crime takes place. We are a very big city in terms of both size and population. So there will be infringement of laws. There would be violations of various kind of laws. But if you compare it with any big city of this size anywhere in the world in a democratic setup, I can't say about totalitarian regimes, but otherwise it is still safe for almost any citizen in Mumbai to step out of his or house and not worry about it. And it goes for all of us. I can say my daughter, when she goes to work in the morning, comes back by public transport, I'm not really very worried about it, as I would be in very many cities, maybe in India and abroad. So it goes on to say where there is a partnership going on between, and it's historical here. Some of those things have actually got eroded over the past few years, which is also a fact for very, very reasons, and I think there's not the occasion again to go into it, but all of us understand that. But at the end of the day, if it's a healthy, understanding partnership, relationship with the public, it will go a very, very long way to make the city much more livable than many other places would. With that, I would close my opening, whatever few words I had to say, and perhaps try and cover up as we go along. Thank you.
I think a lot of SMS questions have come. Some of them have already been loaded. Shall we have a question? So, Mr. Javed can answer.
Yeah, I can read.
Public.
Well, there is, I think you're stating the very obvious, the use of mobile while driving is prohibited, and it is implemented where it is. I actually would want to have actually a full session on traffic, because it makes us, it's very difficult a task when you look at it in the way the violations of traffic laws are done, even in a city like Mumbai, which is still famed for its good traffic sense and good traffic manners. And the worrying thing is that most of the violations which I see it, and I've been seeing it for the last many years, I've been in Mumbai, that the violators are mostly the educated, the middle and the upper middle class, people who are supposed to be knowledgeable. Some of them driving such high-end cars that I would think they have been educated, but they don't behave so on the street. Now, this is something where I talked about briefly. There is a thing about duties which a citizen should remember. We just can't leave it for the enforcement agencies to keep on enforcing. Then I don't think we are looking at a healthy situation. Interestingly enough, and I think even on one side negatively enough, whenever technology is supposed to come in, it is supposed to reduce that much of manpower that should go into it. For example, typically when we go in for, say, more electronic use or technology being used for traffic control, the idea is to reduce the manpower and use it for other places. But in India, and especially in our place, what happens is when we put up a traffic signal, for example, a new traffic signal comes up. Instead of reducing the manpower, it has to be manned for the violations to be stopped. Now, which is a dichotomy of a huge nature. Typically all over the world, wherever a mechanized device or instrument comes into place, that manpower is withdrawn from there. But here we then double up. So somewhere we have to be very clear as to what we should be doing as a duty. Enforcement we shall do in the present and in the past. But at the same time, I would like to also highlight, and this is, I think, the times and traffic questions seem to have been put up first. We must also have a look at what is the Motor Vehicle Act which we enforce, which is the guidelines for which is there for traffic enforcement. The Act, as you know, is of the earlier 1950s, and most of the fines, bulk of the fines under this Act, I am sure most of you, if not all of you know, is 100 rupees. I need not really dilate upon the fact that 100 rupees today really does not deter anybody from violating it. So that's one side. The second part of it is that, look at the ratio when this Act came into existence in the early 50s. 100 rupees at that time, I probably may not have been born or was just about to get born, but the basic pay of IAS or an IPS officer, basic pay in the 1950s was 300 rupees. Okay? Now look at it this way, that if 1/3 of his pay was going to be the fine for a violation. Now just bring it up to today, and if 1/3 of our basic pays, which I'm sure all of us know, was to be it, I don't think we'll have any traffic violations at all. Unfortunately, in the last 50 plus years, that 100 rupees remained at 100 rupees, and where we have gone. So today we have situations where a two-wheeler is going to cost, say, 2 million rupees or a million rupees, 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs. The other day I saw a motorcycle ad which said 26 lakhs. So surely 100 rupees is not going to be a thing. And that same thing reflects in most of the traffic violations, except for drunken driving and stuff like that. So surely we need to have a relook at this enforcement, deterrence and the laws. I may also inform you, I think the Government of India is already in the process of revising all this. Until it comes, of course, the existing law continues to be what it is. So these are challenges which cannot be understood if you take it in isolation. But it does make a lot of this thing, and therefore the task becomes that much more complex. Because I started with the one on what I was told to respond to the. Now, the priority of questionings, madam, will be decided. I was told was that we'll go on the electronic. There is something here which you are not privy to it. Exactly what I was saying. As an educated member of the city, many of them are not aware of what is happening, but still would like to react without knowing that I was doing something else. This is what happens to our day-to-day enforcement on what the citizen thinks he knows or she knows, but what the laws or what the challenges are. So I hope I have made that point a little more clearly than it would have been out to be.
The questions will come in. We are just allowing the questions which have come already to be answered, because whilst we can see and interact personally here, those who are online need to be addressed first. So, Mr. Desai, certainly all questions will be answered to the best of our ability, keeping time.
You mean the best of my ability?
Yes.
Yeah, we could do
Yes,
that.
I will do that.
We can do that.
I was correct. Quite right. That's our trustee, by the way. So I've been told, because I realized that the questions are not visible to the people who are seated here. Certainly. I will certainly read out the next question. The question, Mr. Javed, it's a SMS question. In my opinion, it's the cops who have given us the habit of breaking signals and spoiling discipline. When there is less traffic, the constables ask us to break signals. Your reaction?
It's actually too non-specific a question without any specifics. I only can say if at all any constable has done it on the road, it's not correct, period.
That brings us to a question, just to share as a citizen also, we do see very often that sometimes when there is a challenge, and as Mr. Javed has pointed out, we may not know that signals are kept on hold and the traffic has to be managed manually, perhaps because of a backlog or a certain other challenge in some part of the city. True. So that does happen. I thought I'll just share.
No, in any case, since you're raising it on a larger thing, many a times the traffic signals have to be put on hold or put on, not used, because the position back, say a couple of kilometers back or in front, is not known to the motorist on the road at that specific time. But sometimes the tail goes so far back. Now I can give you any number of examples, but a bus or a vehicle breaking down on a flyover or one of these on the arterial roads, within minutes the tail goes far too back, because some of them are, there's no alternative route, and in Mumbai, as you know, especially in the island city, the number of alternative routes are absolutely restricted, and the number of vehicles being added on a daily basis runs into a couple of hundred per day. So surely there's going to be this huge mismatch about the infrastructure and the number of users of that infrastructure.
Is there a Skype call by any chance? Is there? Or it's still messages for the moment? There is a Skype call?
Yeah,
you have a Skype call.
Yeah. Sir, yes, good afternoon. Dr. Ashwin Patel speaking from Kandivali, Thakur Complex. I am Honorary Secretary of the Asanagar Housing Society. And you must be aware about the Western Express Highway. There is one Saidam Temple. That's my locality. Start from the Saidam Temple to the back side of the 90 feet road. We say it's a Thakur Complex. There is a Thakur Polytechnic College and Nirmala College. My colony is situated in these main two roads. If you are aware of that Saidam Temple, sir, there is a subway park for this highway, Western Express Highway. This subway is full with the beggars, and believe me, sir, they are not a beggar, they are a drug seller. So many times the police has been informed and the police are coming and they are removing the beggars. Again, they are coming back within 10 minutes or maximum 1 or 2 hours. The River Park Society has lodged a 3 times complaint. Nobody has taken the action. From my societies, there is one hotels in the Dimple Arcade. We have complained 7 times, 10 times. The police is coming. They are taking their parcels and they run away. They bus for 5 or 10 minutes. They shut down the music and all these things. But nobody is taking any proper action, sir. All the police one is coming to remove the hawkers. They are coming, they are collecting their haftas and they went over with their van. So my humble request to look after this particular, it's a small locality, name is Asanagar. But sir, please look after. That's my humble request, sir.
Since you got a specific, am I supposed to look there or here? Okay. Since you have got a specific problem, all I can say is my cell number is on the website. Please give me the details and you can contact me either through text or through email, which is again on the website of the Mumbai Police. As it is, I get a number of messages from across the city. We will look into it. Since it's specific, I will need to revert back to the local police to know the reality of the situation. Thank you.
So nice of you, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let us take an audience question. And Oh, I can see many hands. But I'm just wondering, if you would indulge me, is there a student's hand up? Yes. I'd like the student, Mr. Javed, I think let's start with the students because it's the right thing to do, perhaps. Please introduce yourself.
You can raise your voice a bit till the mic gets up. Okay.
Good evening, sir. I am Niharika Singh. So my question is, as the population of Mumbai is increasing so rapidly, and we cannot see any of the roads being constructed over here. So what are your plans to decongest the roads?
Very good question. Since road construction is neither with me and neither is the control of the population, all I can say is it is a challenge which we will continue to face and we will try. We have a lot of suggestions on that. For example, the restriction of number of roads, number of vehicles which can come on the road, the parking space that is available. People, I'm sure many of you here have more than multiple vehicles at home and I'm not sure if there are enough spaces. So your question is relevant. Perhaps next time they'll have a speaker who will have at least one part he can respond to, that is the BMC. The second, population control, I am not very sure as how to this thing. Yes, it's a challenge. On a serious note, it's a challenge because the road, especially in the city, in the island part of the city, there has been no scope at all to this thing, and the number of vehicles, as I told you, we add more than I think 300 vehicles of all sorts per day.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. You have any suggestion on that? Think about it.
Thank you, sir. Sorry.
I understand you're from the Airavat Institute, so perhaps since the policymakers are seated here, you might want to take this up as a project. Any questions? SMS question? Or is any SMS question ready? Okay. Commissioner Sir, why do people feel apprehensive approaching the police or visiting police station for any help, query, complaint? Is it not high time the police gets a makeover as citizen-friendly? This is somewhat which Mr. Ranganathan had already flagged, and the answer will now be made by Mr.
Madam,
Javed.
may I have your attention, please? Actually, this is on a very larger, at a larger level, I would agree with you. There's a need, I would say it was yesterday, to have a makeover for making it a more friendly, a citizen-friendly situation. So on the one side, there is a determined and continuous efforts to sensitize not only our personnel, but also have these in-service trainings on soft skills and how to be dealing with citizens who necessarily need to be dealt with differently as opposed to, say, for example, a criminal. That's one. The second thing is, our focus has been, and let me tell you without any hesitation, that one of the 3 or 4 things that I am focusing on in whatever period that I may have is that the treatment meted out to a citizen in a police station or a police office like a ACP, DCP or any office has to be civil. Civil treatment, professional treatment, so that even if the work is or cannot be done or doesn't fall within our purview, the response has to be that would leave the citizen when he leaves or she leaves the police station with the satisfaction that at least it was given a treatment befitting a civil society that we are. Having said that, it is also a challenge. Remember, the police also comes from the same milieu, from the same society that we all are from. We have our own issues. I don't think I need to dilate on that, but to round off the corners and to take off the edges and smoothen them up, training is one thing. We are taking the help of a lot of people in the open markets to give us inputs to make the response of the police much more citizen friendly than it is. And any suggestion and anything that you will make it go better, which is practical and doable. Remember, we are a big force, not only in Mumbai, the whole of the state of Maharashtra. We are more than 2 million strength of the force, which is one of the largest police forces in the country, if not the biggest of the civil polices. So it is a challenge which over the years has been tackled, but maybe, and I personally feel maybe not to the extent that it should have happened. It is going to be happening. It is a shortcoming which we do recognize and we do appreciate, and most of our efforts goes into it apart from professional policing. Yes, that is something we would be looking at more closely than we have done in the past, maybe. I would answer the specifics of what Mr. Raghunathan said about registration, non-registration, not getting a case. Maybe this is a time to give a little input of what makes it a big challenge for us. Under the Indian law, and we are governed, as you know, by the Indian Penal Code, the CRPC and the Indian Evidence Act. This is the basic core of the criminal justice system as we have it in India. You also know it that bulk of it, actually all of it, is a legacy of the colonial rule. The original acts came up in the 1800s, 1861, 1870s. So the focus, thrust, and the entire ethos of those acts is colonial, which obviously meant that you had a ruler and the ruled. And having said that, and I don't want to go into the history of it more than that, the breakup of the way that law or a section would apply in a given thing looks into what will be the police, the effort that will go in. And what I'm trying to tell is that a whole lot of violations of the criminal law, fall under either a cognizable offense or a non-cognizable offense. And I'm saying it's deliberately in this forum to get this clear. Now, if lot of violations of the law fall under the non-cognizable category of the law, which is laid down. It's not arbitrary that we decide today this is cognizable now or not. It's laid down under in the code that this will be non-cognizable. And once we make it non-cognizable, what happens, it means it has been made non-cog. When the citizen comes to the police station with a complaint which falls under this non-cog category, and when he or she is told that under the law all I can do is record it, give you a piece of paper, and I'll advise you to go to the court. This is the normal process as the law says it. Let me tell you, 100% the person is not satisfied, especially if it's a law-abiding citizen. For example, I've been slapped by my neighbor or I've been abused by my whatever. I want some action against that violation of law. I don't want to take the law in my own hands as a good citizen. So therefore, I expect the police to do it. But when I go to the police station and I'm told, this is it, I'm not at all happy. And let me tell you something that I don't have the statistics maybe of last couple of years, but nearly 70%, if not, of the clients, so to say, the citizens who come to a police station, I would say typically in anywhere in India, their cases fall under this category. So we have, which if you take it in a larger picture of a service provider, 70% people not satisfied. Because I go there, I'm told this, handed over a piece of paper, go to the court, you know what it all means. Now this non-cognizability is where, maybe it will be looked at as somewhere, it has to be resolved as to what all will not or should not be in the thing for the larger public. As I told you, it's a colonial law with the focus and thrust and ethos was different. This hasn't gone. Most of our, so to say, this clash, if I may say so, is where a person says, why is no police action taking place? That's one part of it. The cognizable ones, also you have an issue of cases being registered, not on time, maybe sometime delayed, which is another thing. I'll come to it maybe a little later in the day. But this is one of the bigger problems that we face on a daily basis, because especially in a city like Mumbai, where you have all sorts of infrastructure and other challenges which the citizen also faces. So it's over water or a drainage or a small piece of pathway where clashes took place, but they all fall into this category. It will be something which I think have to be tackled with rejig or a relook at the entire criminal justice system, which was done some years ago, but I think it's still waiting somewhere. Non-registration of a cognizable offence is just not allowed. There are any number of Supreme Court and other court orders that a cognizable offence shall be registered. By and large, we have tried to make registration of cases as free and as open as should be possible, even if it's a case which will be taken up on merits later. But yes, I would like to say that there are instances where the cases are not registered in time or without any intervention. The only way to get out of that would be the more feedback we get from the citizen, the more, because remember one thing, unlike many other places, the accessibility of senior officers, at least in a city like Mumbai, at least I can say from at least all the ACCPs and above, deputy commissioners, additional commissioners, the accessibility is very huge. And given the kind of communication that are available today through whatever means, if somebody like me as a commissioner, I get so many messages through the mail, SMS, WhatsApp, I can tell you the accessibility is something which the citizens should make use of it. The only problem that I feel is that many times is this thin line or thick line, depending on how you want to look at it, is this cognizability and non-cognizability part of which many citizens are not aware of, I'm afraid, I'm sorry, which makes our job then difficult to keep on sort of trying to teach law. The other one is that, and this is something which is very serious I'm saying now, many of the agencies which should be responding to the citizen, perhaps their response is not on the same lines as the police, maybe because we are an emergency service provider. So many times they come to us. I find a lot of people come to us on matters which is either to do with the corporation or with other government agency, with which really we cannot have much to do. The only problem is that the guys have become a little smarter, so they bring in the last twist that in the end of this entire episode, so-and-so threatened me also, for example, and give it a criminal angle, and that then falls into our lap. So we have a very tough time saying that we can only look into the threatening part of it, which is the violation of the criminal law, not your original problem, which could be pertaining to water or land or shop or whatever it is. This is one little or rather big dichotomy which we face daily. I can tell you on a daily basis, we must be meeting more than 30, 40, 50 visitors at my level on a daily basis, 4 or 5 times a week, and most of them are onto that. The other thing is, I think, which I would want this forum and everybody to think about it, there's really very little avenue of either counseling or reaching out to the senior citizen in this city. I can give you examples which will probably, if you're a little emotional, bring tears to your eyes about how they're so lonely and so alone that they really don't have it. You know, we have a telephone service called the info line, the Mumbai Police info line. It's easy number 1090. Many calls come in the night where the guy just rings up and says, "Beta, I'm akele hai, can I talk to you? Can you talk to me for 2 minutes?" And I can give you one example which I recently heard from one of my officers, and I really thought that there is urgent need where something should be done for reaching out to the senior citizens, especially who are totally alone. So there's this guy in South Mumbai who rings up the police station and he says, "Please send your police station motorcycle, I have some whatever." So after a couple of times, they said he didn't have any complaint. All he wanted was, "Please give me a ride around this place and drop me back. I'm really very lonely." So, my officer says, "Sab, instead of he complaining to you all and senior citizens, you all get very this thing." So I send him periodically for a little stare and come back. But it tells us, it talks of a problem which is something which I feel there are not enough avenues which I think people should, who really want to give it back to the city, about senior citizens. It is something which I don't know, others are looking at it, but we being available 24/7, we get a lot of these calls, which is something which sometimes if we don't respond to it, the guy then says, "I'm senior citizen and I'll do this and do that," whatever it is.
Ms. Mose, the problem is unless you speak in the mic, it won't get recorded. Although we are sitting in a normal audience, but the fact is that this is totally tied up with the online.
In the meantime.
This is very important. There are lots of student bodies who volunteer to look after the senior citizens. In the case that they need something, they go and fetch their shopping or their take them to the doctor or they give them the medicine on time. If we can, through the police and through citizens like we can, form a body of students or anybody who's free at various areas of Bombay to do what is required by the police and who are very busy, if they can take over this responsibility.
There are, just that, there are a number of volunteers who do this, but I think the number is disproportionate with the need of the problem. Surely it needs to proliferate a little more than what it is today.
So hearing Mr. Javed, we see the human side of our police force. And let us not forget...
Which will never be reported anywhere because it's not good enough news for people to...
But don't worry, Mr. Javed.
No, I'm not. No. As long as the citizen knows it, I'm good enough.
Yes.
I'm good with that.
And in this connection, Mr. Goklani, before I...
But before that, there was a gentleman who put up his hand before. Yeah, here in the middle.
Here. To Mr. Mehta, please.
After you, I can take.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. A huge opportunity for all of us to have a one-to-one interface out here. So my name is Dilip Mehta. I am one of the most fortunate survivor of 26/11 at the Taj, few yards away from here.
I know.
All of us feel here, it was just a question of the 7th anniversary following just 5 weeks from now. We know, all of us, we know, sir, that we are very, very safe. But one point which does bother me in person is that how does one policing force have a strategic disaster management plan in event, unlikely, but in event, such situation arise in our city? Thank you very much, sir.
All I can say is 26/11 was a great learning, obviously, from our point of view as well. And all I can say at this point of time is that we have, having learned those lessons, much more robust and much more effective response team for that. Do remember that in places like Mumbai, especially in the way we are a very open society, we are a very open city. So that itself poses its own problems and challenges. But post 26/11, in terms of whether it's processes, whether it is hardware, whether it is technology, a lot of that has really come a long way from what it was in 26/11. One happened to be right across here myself at the police headquarters, so I can say that, yes, let me try and assure you that it is much healthier and a robust system than it was.
I can see that there is an online question coming up. Is there a Skype or is it? Okay, the question is, Dear Sir, I live and work in London. My entire family lives in Mumbai. After the Asif Sheikh incident, I'm worried for my family members. How can you ensure that they are protected by police instead of abuse? Many thanks. Just to tell you, the gentleman, after having sent the message, did call on the mobile from London. So I just realized that TogetherVCAN Social Sanchar has gone beyond the shores of Mumbai, and that's a good feeling. So, Mr. Javed, please.
Let me assure you, Mr. Khan, that there may have been aberrations in the past, and there may be some aberrations which cannot be ruled out. The overall response I would like to give here is that the safety of the citizen is not at stake here, especially vis-a-vis the department. And wherever, let me tell you, in the past, even now, and this matter is presently under inquiry, so I wouldn't like to dilate on it at this point of time. Wherever there's been infringement by a serving police officer or a policeman, let me tell you, we come down very heavily on them. The kind of action we take, let me also assure you here, is commensurate with the violation if it's been done. So let me assure you that there is no cause of worry for any safety issues about your family living here, and I'm sure they will never need to ever call me or call you regarding that. But yes, there have been aberrations in the past, and I'm not saying it's all hunky-dory all across, which it could be. all aberrations are looked at individually at a very senior level and dealt with the severity that it deserves. That's all I would like to say at this moment.
Mr. Koklani, you had one question?
Yes, couple of them actually, but pardon me. Sir, is there a process of evaluating your police force? That's one. Second is there some way, since you want engagement with people like us, is there some engagement telling them as to how a police station in their neighborhood is performing? Is there some way of informing? Third, is there some way of getting feedback from people, their experiences at the police station when they have visited? So just 3 points.
Okay. Evaluation at two levels you're talking about, as I understand. One is internal and one is from the people we serve, right? It is reflected in a lot of some formal, some informal ways of where we evaluate it. And I think one of the biggest is the feedback we get at the senior levels from the public. Unlike many other places where you can have a yardstick as to if it meets this, if this product meets this sort of a quality, whatever level you put, it is good, not very good, whatever it is. Since here we deal only with humans, please remember, the responses, I can tell you, can be so contradictory. And I'll give you an example of this, where you will be finding it very difficult to evaluate a person. Now, let me see a senior officer, somebody as senior as me or my joint commissioner. The moment the guy's work is not looked at or done the way he or she wants it, let me tell you, the feedback goes into negative straight away. And I can give you a lot of examples. Many of us have faced a lot of grief only because we told, especially I'm telling you senior citizens with all due respects, that this is not within the purview of the department and we just can't do it. The other day a lady told me, then what the hell are you there for? Now it is something I really can't do anything about it. Now if you ask her the feedback, I don't think I'll need to say what she'll say. So the evaluation has to be a little different than any other system of like, just tick the things, he's met all these parameters, which is not. So we go by, I would go by a larger, wider thing as to what is the general perception. And one of the important things is the response that a person gets. It may not be entirely as what he or she wants. Now, for example, if there's a challenge about noise pollution, for example, now, maybe this was not my charter today, right now, but I'll just touch upon it. Noise pollution levels have been laid down in the law. I'm sure all of us know it, right? In residential areas is so much, commercial areas so much. The ambient decibel level in all these designated places, even at the dead of night, if you take that meter and take it, let me tell you, the chances are it's more. When everything else, I'm talking about a midnight situation where you're probably only your AC or maybe your fan is only on. Now, with something like a festival going on, like today or last month we had another festival, these levels really spike up. The only thing that is left to us is to go and physically lock this thing or stop it. The guy who makes a call, and I'll tell you every day nowadays I'm getting at least one call from the same area that the loudspeaker is very loud. Mind you, it's not beyond 10 o'clock, but within 10 also there's a limit to it. So it is just every time he gets a call, we go and... Now, if you ask him how is the police responding to it, he is not happy at all about it. Nobody questions what about the citizens who are themselves knowing that the decibel level should not be so high. It's like a two-way. So evaluation is for us a little tricky. I can evaluate the performance of my man, for example, my officer, because we have some parameters laid down. But vis-a-vis the public, it is a little more complex. Therefore, the more aware, the more educated in the sense of what goes on into policing, it will make our job that much better, because the criticality would then be based on actual knowledge. It's not that what... See, I know for sure many of the citizens have absolutely no clue about most of these things we are talking about. Like I have people who come and say this section is not correctly applied. For example, I was beaten up, my nose was bleeding, there's a lot of blood, you see my shirt, sure it's a very gruesome sight with a lot of blood on the shirt and all. But the sections of hurt, for example, are applied only on the basis of the medical report. Medical report we don't generate. It is generated by a doctor, correct? But they are not satisfied. Police is not doing it deliberately, and then you can go into any loop you want to because he were influenced, not influenced, rich, poor, this caste, that caste. I'm not going to. So this evaluation is a little tricky, is all I can say at this point of time. Because, I mean, yesterday I had a lady saying, I want this section applied. Looking at her, I know for sure she doesn't know the IPC. But somebody has asked her, this section will make the guy be in jail for long. So it is a little difficult. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's a little difficult and complex. There are a lot of hands at the back.
I know, but I just...
Mr. Goklani, without the mic, it will not get recorded.
You have technology today available. And technology can be used very judiciously.
Please repeat in the mic.
You have technology on your side, and technology can be used very judiciously if the Bombay police desires.
My question on evaluation of technology is, I tell you that this work cannot be done by the police. How will technology help me on that?
The work cannot be done by the police.
I'll tell you, about 50% of the people who come and meet me at a level, and I meet very openly, freely, are people we really can't do much about. Not because we don't want to, it's because it's not within my purview.
This is something which we need to talk further about, and a much broader session.
Sure.
Because there is always a system and a way.
There is, I'm not saying it can't be done.
And if police can do it elsewhere in the world, why can't
another good thing, elsewhere in the world. Very good thing, I'm glad you raised it. We tend to compare with A, B, C, D countries. The laws are, I would love to police in many countries of the world because the laws are so clear and so severe. For example, hold it. A violation of a red signal in a country, I don't want to name, is roughly Indian rupees 65,000 rupees. Tell me, I would love to have a law like that here on our thing. I'll tell you there will be no violations per se. So let's not compare other countries and elsewhere. In some parts of Europe, for example, and I know it for sure, I've seen it, he'll say, excuse me sir, can I search you? He says, no, you can't. End of story. Our law isn't like that. So there's no comparison. We'll talk about it. Yeah. I think there are people who would like something more practical on the ground.
Mr.
We'll come back to you on that.
I am really sorry. But
no, that gentleman there was up much. No, before you, sir, that gentleman, yeah.
Yes, but Mr. Patwardhan, is it? Yes. Mr. Patwardhan, whilst the mic is going to you, I think as the mic is here, we can assure you, Mr. Javed, from our side as We Citizen Action Network, our mandate is interface with the government authorities and the citizens. So being a facilitator, we have worked very closely, and we still do, with Election Commission on many issues, etc. So as far as the police are concerned, do let us sit at some point when it is convenient to you, and in whichever way, whether it is the legal side, whether it is awareness, in whichever way we can act as facilitators, it will be our privilege.
We need to generate enough public demand to relook at the systems, at least I'm talking about which govern the criminal justice system, to bring it in conformity with the needs of the country today and to look in the next at least decade or two. So that's one thing which, and it affects all of us across the entire nation.
Absolutely fine, and this has been noted. And yes, Mr.
I think a very important and critical issue is being raised in the sense that often we blame the instrument, but we don't realize the instrument is manned by a system which is not able to serve. So I think maybe sometime we can sit with the police, we can work out what is the kind of changes in our laws, in our systems which are required to make in order to make provide for a more effective and nevertheless more humane policing system. I think that responsibility probably we will try and see whether we can do with the help of other organizations. Thank you.
Sure.
So, with a little experience from being a traffic warden since 1983 and also with the social service branch as well as Mohalla committee, etc., what has come to my mind, and probably we can take it further, we tried to experiment that when Pasricha Sahab was the commissioner, but he got transferred and it remained incomplete. There needs to be a lot of interaction between the public and the police. And that interaction would come not with the fear of police, but more trying to look at the police as my friend. That is how I was taught right from my childhood. If there's any difficulty, go and contact the nearest policeman who will help you. I have got a good experience with that all my life. Question here is, we have the experiment that we tried. We have RSP in the schools, and that is being trained and tapped very well by the traffic department. We also have the NSS unit in the colleges. Now, college students are really our future, the resource, the strength, a fantastic energy in our hand. Those college groups, the NSS groups from every college were trained to take up the issue with regard to assistance to senior citizens, manning the information centers at various places like the railways, bus stands, even the BST bus stops at Churchgate and those areas, guiding people with which bus to take. Also training the same group in turns with what is the museums. They would be the guides who would be taking people around museums. And that, as far as Germany is concerned, or US is concerned, where I had a chance to understand and study, has been not only a great resource in our hand which can be utilized for this, but also a very good base, because they are the future and they have realized this is our property not to be damaged. And that is how the next generation can be utilized. It is their future. India tomorrow is in their hands. That could be a very good resource that we could track. Right from my college days, I was associated with the Police Public Committee. Every building secretary is the person who would be interacting with the police stations and providing information regarding husband and wife or brother-sister fights. Those kind of issues which can be very well sorted out with a better understanding, and this kind of a committee has been very effective and useful. Maybe you could take it a little further and reduce the tension and complaints that come to the police station.
Mr. Patwardhan, you are part of our panel of experts. Please give this whole statement of yours, and certainly because this matches with some of the exercises that has been done, and we will make it happen. In the meantime, Mr. Khanna, just give a moment. Is there anybody on a Skype call? Or is there a question, please? Because we need to give the online audience. Whilst having tea, you can perhaps. The question is the rampant, naked and visible growth of makeshift living under flyovers. What are we waiting for? Oh, we have a hashtag. How exactly are we supposed to answer this, Mr. Javed?
Under the flyovers?
I think what
yeah, I know.
Question, under the flyover, people are
but
living.
There's a different agency for that.
Yes, I think it's not quite the police directly.
Yeah.
So we will have to see where the question will go. Mr. D'Souza wants a question. I can see a whole lot of hands up. All the hands that are up and those who are not able to give the question, we would request that please mail. I will give you the mail ID. And I will forward it to Mr. Javed.
No, you mail me directly. I'll give you this thing.
Absolutely.
Please do it directly. Not an issue.
And we would also appreciate if a copy is marked so that it can go on the portal for future use for others too. Mr. D'Souza, sorry. There's one question. If that is answered, after that I'll take your question. Sir, we often see our police behind bunkers with automatic rifles guarding sensitive spots, including Churchgate and VT stations. There are nothing more than sitting ducks in case of any unforeseen emergency. Why do we not have more strategically placed watch points with basic amenities like fans, etc., behind the bulletproof glass for these men?
I really appreciate the concern shown here. Yes, some of our points do need to be redone up or relocated. And we are already in the process of it. I mean, I do appreciate, and it's also from the welfare of the person doing it, manning that point has to be taken into care. Putting it behind a bulletproof glass may or may not be feasible in everything, but yes, relocating them, redesigning them is something which we internally have identified. The process has started. It's a good point, and I'm sure it should be visible in the little time from now.
Yes, Mr. D'Souza.
Dolphy D'Souza from Nagar and Police Reforms Watch. First of all, congratulations. It's a pity that this city will have an officer of your merit for such a short time. Having said that, there are two questions. One is the citizen-police partnership. One of the things we had worked out very closely in the whole last year was having what Mr. Advocate Patwardhan suggested was regular public citizen meetings with students, and we would get police officers from the police stations interacting with them. We found a lot of merit in building confidence building exercise. The second question is, what are you doing in terms of containing the rogue elements in the police force? I know you have put in an inquiry on the Bandra issue where 2 young people were brutalized. But the point, sir, is that while you have started the inquiry, these officers are not suspended, nor they are arrested, nor an FIR has been lodged. It sends a message of perception, whether you are very strong enough to ensure that this type of things don't happen in the future.
Can I respond? On a lighter vein, some things in life are sweet and short. On the serious note, what you have said, the inquiry is on, inquiry is only 2 days old. The fact that you have already enumerated the action to be taken will presuppose what is the result of the inquiry. So if one was to already take those actions that you have, then the inquiry would become partly infructuous. This is not to say as to who's right or wrong, but in a general, on a larger thing, unrelated to the specific incident that you have mentioned, the idea of inquiry is to arrive prima facie, not into the details. Prima facie arrive at a conclusion that yes, there is some substance in it, either way. Let me put it this way, and I can give you any number of examples, which is not to say that there have not been aberrations in the past by the people of our department. No, I'm not saying that. But there are also equal number of examples I can say where the public has deliberately, maliciously misled, told the wrong things, been untruthful to wrap up some larger agenda. And I can tell you people across from the constable to the senior levels who have faced, ultimately some have come out unscathed. So let me put it this way, the idea of an inquiry by the senior IPS officer, it's not that inquiry is being done by any lower functionary, is to come to a conclusion prima facie. And if it transpires that something has happened, surely, as I said it earlier in the day, the most severe of action commensurate with the default will be taken. On that I'm very sure on that. So this thing saying that just because you haven't done this and therefore you're not strong at it, I think is a presupposition which is a little unfair, if not harsh, is all I can say.
At this point, I know hands are going up, but quite unfortunately,
10 minutes more.
Mr. Javed has given 10 minutes more. He's got an urgent call, so we have exactly 10
minutes.
No,
I haven't got an urgent call. There's no emergency. Because I'll give you an example. I want to give an example. Few weeks ago, I had gone to some place, and mind you, I had still not moved into the city. I was in another place. And people like you, people like us, padha likha, educated, very opinionated about many things of the city, came running and said, "Sahab, how are you here?" I said, "Why?" He says, "I heard that there's been a blast in some place." I said, "I'm not directly in the picture. I'm talking about more than about 2 or 3 months ago." And I said, "How do you say this was a blast?" He says, "I got a message from a friend who got it from another friend." So I said, "What you're doing in effect is rumor mongering. You're just adding to it." And you know what had happened? Our tire had burst outside a place which we got checked out, which his friend thought was something more. So he said, "Have you heard? And have you heard?" And then it became. So I told him in the audience, I said, "I'm very sorry, despite all your back," he was a professional of a certain standing. I said, "The least you could have done was to check it up with somebody. Today you have the means, almost anything is either trending or it's breaking news. Surely you can check it up before you spread it out." So don't be unwitting, knowing or unknowing party to the mongering of rumor, if I may so put it.
Yes, just a minute. Where's the mic, please? And then after that, Mr. Jaikar has a question. One other mic was there. May we have the mic here, please, for Mr. Ranganathan?
Hello, sir. I represent the Arawat group. My name is Gurpreet Khanna. We are already associated with the traffic police as well as the Mumbai traffic. Sorry. We have been doing training for road safety for the traffic workshops on defensive driving, as well as we've also had initially engagements with trying to provide career counseling for traffic police kids, which has been an initiative initially with, and we opened inaugurated the counseling center in Worli at that time. Well, a suggestion which is very important, which I feel eventually, is that, as Sir was mentioning about other countries, well, honestly, firstly, we need to see that what does our, the police force, down the line, the pyramid, what facilities do they have? Because I think we need to kind of run a people's campaign that firstly, we need to have these people given the right facilities for them to perform their duties more beautifully, because I feel, and I'm sure a lot of us feel, that they can be given a lot more by the government in all means, whether it is their facility where they stay or whether it's facility for their kids, because I think it's an important citizen campaign that we should be running to actually ensure that things are being done right for them so that they can give it back to the society in a much better manner. Because I think that's a very, very important point that I wanted to actually put across, and probably your advice on that as well, sir.
Mr. Jaikar, you had a question.
Hello.
My name is Rajan Jaikar. I am the trustee of VCAN. As a lawyer, I always, on different forums, I also raise this point that normally it is believed that whenever there is an encroachment on road or on public land or other government places, it is the duty of some other department to remove it. But I have checked up under the Bombay Police Act. There is a nuisance, annoyance, obstruction. The police can do it, but I have not seen police doing it at all.
Yeah, you are referring to, I think, section 102 of the Bombay Police Act. Removal means that we will have to physically remove, right? I'm not sure if we have the wherewithal. The law is there. Please remember, the Bombay Police Act came into existence in which year?
I think it is 1850 or something.
No, it's not 1850, okay. It's
Mr. Jaikar, the mic, please.
Yeah.
It's 1950s.
1950,
okay. Yeah. Mumbai at that time and today, vastly different. But I'll tell you, I discussed this after she had sent me this note. Removal means we can charge them. The law, as a lawyer say, it says that there is a fine of 1,200 rupees or some such thing. Fining part is easy to do. You pick them up, the person, not the encroachment per se, or maybe both. Take him to the court, he's fined. He comes back again tomorrow. Somebody who is sub-agency has to make sure that this entry is restricted. Now, if we start, law maybe is there, not maybe, it is there, that we have to remove encroachment or any impediment.
Or obstruction.
Or this thing. But it is something which I think ideally should be done by agency, which is actually geared to do on that. Because same thing will happens with all these action on the road. For example, I think last month or just before Ganpati, anything which was on the carriageway, since it was coming in the way of traffic, we started getting it out. The issue is getting them out is one thing for the moment. When it comes back, we need surely the wherewithal, which we don't have. And I don't think it's, if you ask me, in a society like in the setup of today, I would rather have the corporation looking into it or some such agency which is meant to be looking at as far as giving all these permissions and areas and marketing them as A zone or B zone or whatever it is. So the Bombay Police Act does make a mention of it, but I think given the kind of duties and other things that are in place, I think the removal of encroachment per se should be with the corporation, and I'm sure that will make it effective, because taking them just physically to the court and they come back the next day, which means it's sort of a ding-dong battle which keeps going on that. And I don't know why this question is not being asked to the other agencies, because this thing will continue in a place like this, because encroachments are, I think, one of the bigger problems on traffic, regarding to traffic in this city.
Even the BMC, they do the same thing. They will again charge and they will again come. But if police takes action, it acts as a little deterrent.
What is the action? That's what I'm trying to say. Is that
remove it on what?
Remove and take them where?
No, remove it from there.
And take them. Excuse me. Since maybe there's not a thing. Remove them. Take them where? Where do we have to put them? Somewhere. Put them police station as a Madhyamal, or where do we put them?
No, just remove the obstruction, that's all.
Yeah, remove and...
Somebody is putting a stall, just remove it and get it.
Okay, please, could somebody in the audience answer for this for me? Take the thing and remove it to where? Like what we do in a case, if we are seizing a vehicle, it becomes Muddemal, we come and bring it to the police station or to the Muddemal room depending on the size of the thing. Where do we remove this?
Create space for this
Right.
new type of...
So what we have to do...
Thank you. Create space. I would like you to get this thing. I am looking for chowkis. You know, there are some police stations which are constructed where? On top of a nala. In a Jhopatpatti, this Ganpati, I'll tell you, this which Ganpati and Eid, in 2 areas, 1 officer and 1 deputy commissioner went down with swine flu. Because if you go to that police station and sit down in the evening, I'd like you to spend 1 evening with us. So you're looking for space? Sure. But I'd rather have it for a chowki, I'd rather have it for a police station to start with, rather than for Muddemal only.
No, I think...
And I would like, since, sorry, I would like Mumbaikars to go and have a look at some of the police stations, especially in some of the suburbs, on the eastern side especially, and see how our men work day in and day out in that. I'm not trying to be an apologist for that, but do remember the working atmosphere of anybody. We are all doing some job somewhere. If it is challenging, it is going to make your efficiency that much more impinged, and I have no doubt about it. I'm not trying to say that you should have a 5-star, 4-star kind of a police station. No. But it is quite a challenge, I tell you.
Actually, since this question has been raised by my fellow trustee, certainly on behalf of the trust, we will coordinate and see...
That we get space?
No. Space I will not talk about.
That's what he said, create space.
Yes,
he is your trustee.
Yes, I know. So what we
You raised the point, I'm just responding to it.
I think somewhere along we will have to do a little bit of coordination. So when we get our BMC counterpart, then we'll raise this question again.
Not raise the question, get us the space.
Right. Yeah. Yes, the Bombay Port Trust is also a great
I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
I think I have an answer for you on that score.
You have an answer?
I actually do have an answer for you on that score. And believe it or not,
which one, ma'am?
this, first things first, let me just introduce myself. I'm Nainaz Shroff from Taylor & Shroff Wines. I'm the managing director of the company. And I was a young college student when I went abroad for my higher education, and I created the first wine in the world to be enjoyed with hot and spicy food. And this would put India on the global charts for wines as such. So when I started off with my business, I thought, wow, I'm in the happiness business, you know. Everybody's going to be so happy, until I got back to my country. And I was introduced to what you call the Bombay Prohibition Act. And a whole lot of understanding of the systems that apply to the same. Now, with my experience of visiting multiple government departments, just to get one license, which is a wine distribution license, with my experience of that, I completely agree with what Sir here is trying to tell everybody, that the government, there is a gap. There's a gap between the understanding of the law and the interpretation of the law. And there is that resource which is available in a multi-department format. And yes, the space is available if all the departments do get together. But the problem here is, even when we go out to get a police NOC or a BMC NOC, one department does not understand what the NOC is all about with the other department. So I personally, this is my input here, I personally feel that the layers in our government and our systems are so heavy. There's just so much of reporting and paperwork happening everywhere that there's no clarity. And at the end of it, we as youth tend to suffer, because when we go out to party, we are looked upon as criminals carrying a bottle of wine, because that comes under a cognizant format of a crime, because it's under criminal law, if I'm not wrong, sir.
No, it's under the Prohibition Act, yeah.
It is under the Prohibition Act, right? So at the end of it, I worry for my friends, for my family. As an entrepreneur, I do worry, because each and every one of our family members and our friends do have bars at home. There is no real law about it. The police is supposed to, and the excise, as I understand, which was earlier a part of the police department.
No.
I don't want to get into that political history. But the bottom line is that there is that gap. And we're all just living with it. And I hope the trust and all of us aware citizens do take it up. You know, and my question to you is, as the youth, or even as just citizens of the country who enjoy a good drink to relax our minds by the night, I just want to understand what's the right form, apart from following the norms in question, having a bar at home. What is the right way to function around alcohol in question?
The law is very clear. Now you are questioning the need for that law. as I understood it.
No,
But-
more on the lines of the fact that the law is restrictive at this stage. It's turning all the citizens into criminals.
No, what the law
Bombay
says is
Prohibition Act.
what the law says is that there is a prohibition in place, which means that you need permissions to possess, transport, and consume, and the limited quantities that you are the limits of quantity which you are allowed to handle. Now that's the law. Now whether it's right or wrong is neither the forum and nor it's a piece of legislation. There are views on it. I don't want to go into that. But till the law is in existence, good law or bad law, that's not our thing. It will be enforced as the law has been laid down. Whereby it's laid down at least that these are the conditions that you, for transportation, for use, for consumption, for storage, these are the things. You will need permissions, you need whatever it is. Now, whether they're impeding many things or not, whether this it is good or bad, as I said, I can't go into it. But the law, once violated, once there's a law, there will be enforcement. There will be enforcement if a violation takes place. So to answer your question of what is the thing, it's laid down exactly how much you can hold in at home. So if your bar is too rich, I would like you to have a relook at it. Again, go by the law.
You're welcome to come around. There's hardly anything
that's
there.
not our job.
I'll invite you over for a drink as well. You can try my wine and tell everybody about it. But more importantly,
that's not our job.
I agree there on the law side of it, right? But again, bringing you back to this. See, the awareness levels.
If you are seeking my opinion,
yes,
if you are speaking my,
yes.
this is not the forum for it.
Agreed. More importantly, when you're talking about the space and the training side of it, moving away from the discussion.
Space is different, training is different.
I agree. I'm moving away from the discussion now.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the space and the training side of it, I am aware that if you do go into your own government departments, BMC, fire, etc., the space is available and so is the interest.
No, 1 second, madam. Let me.
Yes.
I need a space in a specific location.
Right.
So please remember, a chowki or a police station has to be in a specific area to serve its purpose.
Absolutely.
It can't be in a space where it is available. So I may be having a space available in a place, but the jurisdiction can't be so far away. So please remember, it's a little more localized.
Agreed.
So if, let's say, A area in Mumbai needs it, I need the police station, so the public can come access it as quickly and as easily. So where the space available, maybe, you're right, I have no data on that. But that may not be suitable to us. So when we made it on a nala or some such thing, because that was the only space available at that point of time, maybe, it's not a new police station, so I know it, but it was very, very centrally located for that area, because there was a purpose for it. Typically a police station comes up with certain conditions, go up, whether it's rise in crime or rise in population or rise in whatever it is. So you cannot have it anywhere else. There is this thing. Many a times, these things have just come out. Like for example, a big Chopatpatti had come up years ago. Now people are living there, life is going on. We need a police presence in that. Now there is no space available today.
Yeah.
Now, sure, now that is something with the government or the concerned, they just have to do it. I can't go and say, okay, I want this extra space which I would like to. Therefore, policing in these areas, we have to find a way where we can show our presence, because presence makes a lot of difference in cities like Mumbai and most cities in India where there's a police presence, and that is a deterrence. But I can tell you, and I'm sure many of you, if not, or if you have walked around in some of the Jhopatpattis, it's a world of its own. Getting even 2 feet or 3 feet is like we are looking at a decent kind of space. So this is a thing which, when I said we don't have space, is this.
I think we are time constrained.
My compliments to you and thank you for everything.
You're welcome. I'm once again repeating, yes, Mr. Purohit, I know, but the problem is that it is 5:20. Yes, I will take it, but in the meantime, every one of you who has got a question, because there were many hands raised, my request is, please send us an email at vcan@togethervcan.in. It's quite simple. VCAN, VCAN @togethervcan.in, and rest assured,
I'll give you a simpler email address, cp.mumbai@mahapolice.gov.in.
Yes. So wherever you wish, please mark a copy to VCAN for the answer to be uploaded so that other citizens with similar queries can have their answer, if that is all right.
And if you don't remember the email address, just Google Mumbai Police, you will get our website.
Yes, but even otherwise, in the portal also.
My request would be, if you make it specific and if you make it something which pertains to us directly, where we can respond, I would surely like to respond.
Mr.
We like to
Narvekar,
respond. I'll tell you, we like and try to respond to all mails which we have received within the shortest period of time, sometimes a day or two, but you will find some response going, at least all the mails that come to me.
Yes, I would request
and
now,
your SMSs and your WhatsApps.
Yes, I would request, yes?
My phone number is on the on our site, but nonetheless, if anybody wants to write it down, is 98210 58152, 98210 58152. With the only request, don't ring up in the middle of the night for something very trivial, that my wife is not listening to me or my husband is not listening to me or something. Anyway, jokes apart, this number you can text me. If you text me, you'll get a reply. If not in minutes, in some multiples of minutes, surely.
Well, that comes to transparency now of the top cop sitting right here. I would now request Mr. Ranganathan to sum up the discussions as it has happened. I know there were many hands, but requesting your patience, please, because we really have run out of time. Mr. Ranganathan.
I think we have had a very interesting and enthusiastic session with a lot of participation. Now, the takeaway from the discussions over the last hour and a quarter is efficient and humane policing is a two-way process. It is not merely the responsibility of the police. Citizens also have to participate in the process, have some awareness and understanding of the laws, and work with the police so that the example he gave was in those countries where citizens know the law and tend to follow it, policing is efficient. And I think that is the goal towards which, under the able leadership of Mr. Ahmed Javed, we should proceed. With these words, I would like to thank him heartily on behalf of VCAN for having readily agreed to participate in this program and enlightened us on so many aspects of policing in the city of Mumbai. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would request the trustees of V Citizen Action Network to please come. On behalf of the citizens of Mumbai and our trust, we would like to present a small memento. Captain Malcolm.